Hello, YouTube. Welcome back to Kareem in My Coffee. Now, today, I was thinking about vocabulary. Because when we learn a language, vocabulary is always so hard to remember. And lots of people think I just need to memorize hundreds of different words. And eventually, I'll remember something. And in theory, yes. The more you memorize, theoretically, you should remember some of those words. But did you know that there are more effective ways of memorizing and recalling vocabulary when we study a language or when we study anything in that fact? So today's video is going to be about different ways we can practice recalling and really remembering new vocabulary words. One of the first ways to remember vocabulary words is a technique called chunking. Chunking is like saying grouping. And this is basically when you take words and put them together in a group. But you don't take random words and just throw them all together in a mishmash thinking that this will help. In fact, when we chunk, we want to group words together that have some similarity. And these similarities can be based on what you feel and how you think and how you want to remember these words. As an example, one way we can chunk words is by parts of speech. Now, parts of speech basically are the noun, verb, adjective, adverb, etc. As an example, we can see here, we have the verb live. We have the noun life, adjective livable, verb to live, etc. This is one way we can group something together. Another way of chunking is by putting similar words together. And by this, I mean words that have the same meaning. So let's look over here. We have the word happy. What are some synonyms to happy? We can say glad, joyful, elated, etc. These all share a similar meaning to happy. Yes, some words are stronger and some words are weaker, but overall, when we want to think of happy, we have a selection of words that we can choose from. Another way we can practice our vocabulary is by using pictures instead of words or translators. Now, this does seem like a lot of work. I know. Putting pictures in, creating these, finding the right picture. But, all of this is in the process of actually learning the new vocabulary. So think about this for a second. The internet is in English, basically. You type in something in English, you'll find more results in that language than you probably would in another one. When you're using pictures to understand a word, it makes your brain think differently. When you don't know a word, you type it in on Google. What happens? Lots of pictures come up. Sometimes the pictures aren't so clear or so understandable. And there it is. Your brain is trying to make connections with that word you don't know and those pictures you are seeing there. And this alone, all the time you spend looking for the right picture, trying to make these connections, really helps solidify that word in your mind. Now, I'm not against using Google Translate or any other translators at that. But before you do that, try your hardest to make connections with the word and the images you see. The next way to learn vocabulary is probably the most typical and well-known way to learn, and that is by reading. Reading is the best way to learn vocabulary, period. By reading, even if we don't understand everything we see, we are still absorbing these new words, the context they're used in, their structure, their parts of speech. And we are subconsciously remembering this. And reading is one of the greatest ways for us to memorize vocabulary. Additionally, if you read enough, you will begin to notice that lots of words tend to appear and are repeated very often. Therefore, you have a greater chance of recognizing and recalling these words as you progress through a book or magazine. Now, one of the things about reading that learners might make the mistake on is that they try to read something that is too difficult for them. When you're reading a text and you don't understand 90% of the text, you are not absorbing anything. Most of your time is probably spent translating these words or phrases that are unknown to you. When you read something, you want to be able to understand at least half of what you're reading. By doing this, you can at least try to make connections to meanings in words based on the context in which they're used, based on the words surrounding them. If you don't know any words, you can't make any connections. Therefore, you won't remember anything. You don't want to read something that is too easy. Yes, it's great when you can read and you understand every single word, but remember, your goal is to learn new words and new vocabulary, which will require you to read things that are unfamiliar to you. So let's just quickly review. We have chunking or grouping, putting words together based on associations of your choosing. We saw we can have parts of speech, synonyms, even antonyms if you want. The next thing was using pictures. So pictures are a great way to help associate a word to an image and help build connections in our mind based on what we see. Plus, the time we use searching for these images helps us really solidify these connections. And finally, the last one is reading. Reading, of course, the best way to learn vocabulary. We're learning subconsciously, we're learning consciously as well, and it does really help us improve our language capabilities and our intake of new words. So everyone, good work today. Thank you for joining me. If you enjoyed this video, please hit that like button and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. It'll help get my videos out there. And for everyone who's watching, I want to wish you a wonderful day and the best of luck on your language learning journey. So everyone, this is Kareem, and I'll see you in the next one.